So we've learned how to remove a dressing, clean the area, and then put a primary dressing over the wound. Now we're going to secure the dressing, the primary dressing. We have a few options, but we want to be realistic of where on the body is this wound and what kind of securing would be the best. You know, if it was a highly active part of the body, we might be taking off shoes, we might be taking off shirts. So we want to make sure that it is secure but not too bulky. We could use tape, so we could pull it off and we could tape the edges, you know, do it around the area. What we want to be careful though is tape can be irritating the skin, especially if someone is changing their dressing regularly and, you know, having to apply and reapply tape. That area, even if the skin is intact, could be irritated. So we just want to be aware of that and careful of that. Or you can use rolled gauze to secure it. So what you would do is you would just take the rolled gauze. If the person's able to kind of lift up, because you're going to go around and under, but you're just going to loosely but securely put the gauze on there. We do not want to wrap this so tight that people's circulation is off. We want to make sure that it's comfortable. And then we can either tape down the rolled gauze, or you can tuck into the side if you wanted to. If you didn't have tape, or if you just wanted to be able to tuck it in, and then that way if you needed to unravel it to look at something or change it again, you can. And lastly, we have Coban. So Coban is sometimes referred to as sticky gauze. You may be familiar with it with like phlebotomy or donating blood. But the nice thing is, whether this is going directly over the primary dressing or if it's covering rolled gauze, it sticks to itself, and then it's also pretty durable. So it might be a good thing if someone's out in the elements that they're able to like kind of protect those underlying dressings from maybe getting wet or maybe getting dirt or anything on there. Also, they come in cool colors. All right, so you can lift up your arm. Again, we do not want to wrap this too tight, all right? And I think, you know, being able to put a hand under or a finger underneath the dressing, and also just making sure the person, it feels comfortable to them. And then it can be easily just tore off, or you could use scissors, but you'll see that it just adheres right to itself. So we've learned how to remove a dressing, clean the area, apply a primary dressing based on the actual wound, and then how to secure that primary dressing to the area. Now the participant is ready to move on with their day, and we just have a few more questions based on the discussion hopefully you've been having with the person who has the wound. But how many supplies to send them off? You know, what is realistic for how many supplies you have for other people who are utilizing your services, as well as, you know, what did you all see and experience while you were changing the wound and the dressings? How much drainage did they actually have? When will you see them again? Do they have what they need until that time? So lots of things to think about. But first and foremost, make sure you send them off with a lot of gloves. All those gloves will be helpful when they're removing the dressing, when maybe they're assessing the area. We really don't want anything that's touching the wound to also touch other surfaces.
What did we learn in the video of how to secure the dressing? First, we said don't wrap the rolled gauze or the sticky gauze, also known as Coban, too tight. We discussed that tape can be irritating to people's skin. We talked about that dressing should be functional, meaning they shouldn't be too bulky or too tight. And last, we talked about questions to consider after you've secured the dressing.